All right, let's get real. You've been texting him, calling, checking in, sending that just thinking of you message, hoping maybe this time he'll finally give you the energy you deserve. And yet, radio silence. Or worse, crumbs. A hey here, a late night you up, a story reply with a fire emoji. Let me ask you something. Are you in a relationship or a guessing game? Let's take a moment and be brutally honest with ourselves. You're reaching out. You're initiating the conversations. You're putting thought into your texts, checking in, showing interest, being kind, supportive, even flirty when it feels right. And what are you getting in return? Delayed replies, dry responses, sorry, I've been busy, or maybe just nothing. And yet you keep trying. Why? Because you care, because you see potential, because you remember the way he made you feel when he was putting in effort. You think maybe he's just going through something, or if I just stay consistent, maybe he'll see I'm different. Let me stop you right there. You don't prove your worth by overextending yourself to someone who's giving you the bare minimum. You're not auditioning, you're not applying for a role in someone's life that they haven't even opened up. You're in a dynamic where you're constantly trying to earn attention, when the truth is someone who genuinely wants to be with you doesn't need convincing. Think about it. When someone values you, they show it. They reach out. They make plans. They don't leave you wondering where you stand. You don't feel like you're walking on emotional eggshells, trying to say the right thing to spark a reaction. You feel safe, seen, prioritized. But when someone isn't reciprocating, when you're constantly the one pushing the boulder uphill, that's not love. That's not even connection. That's anxiety dressed up as hope. And here's where it gets really important. Continuing to chase someone who's not matching your energy doesn't just exhaust you, it actually chips away at your self-esteem. Every unanswered message, every ignored call, every time you see him watch your story but not reply to your text, it tells your brain, I'm not enough. And that's a lie. You are more than enough. You are not too much. You're not overly emotional or needy. You just haven't been met by someone who can hold the kind of love you're capable of giving. So stop chasing, not to play it cool, not to manipulate the situation, but because you finally realize that your value isn't measured by how much effort you put into someone who's not meeting you halfway. Let them come to you. Let them show you who they are when you're no longer carrying the emotional load for both of you. Most of the time, when you stop chasing, you see the truth. They weren't invested. They were just enjoying the attention. And if that's all it was, you're better off letting it go. But sometimes your silence wakes people up. Sometimes the shift makes them realize what they're about to lose. And they come forward. They step up. And that's good too, but only if their effort becomes consistent, real, and meaningful. Because we're not interested in sudden bursts of charm followed by more silence. We're not here for emotional ping pong. You deserve someone who meets you with energy, consistency, and intention. Someone who doesn't just say, I like you, but actually shows up like they mean it. But the first step to attracting that kind of person, stop pouring your love into a one-sided connection. You are not hard to love. You've just been offering love to someone who isn't emotionally available, present, or willing to do the work. Let that be their story. Don't let it shape yours. So take a breath, pull your energy back, not because you're angry or cold or bitter, but because you finally know that you're done investing in places that don't invest. You don't need to chase. The right person will meet you exactly where you are. Let's get something straight right now. Choosing to go someone who's been stringing you along is not about playing a game. It's not about trying to manipulate their emotions, make them miss you, or create some grand romantic comeback. It's about self-respect. There comes a moment when you realize that no amount of talking, explaining, or showing up is going to change someone who's not ready, not interested, or not capable of giving you what you need. And in that moment, the most powerful thing you can do isn't more words, not angry silence, not sulking silence, not I hope he notices silence, just done. See, we live in a world where we're taught to over-explain our feelings, where we're made to feel guilty for walking away quietly, where if you don't give someone a full closure statement wrapped in a bow, you're labeled the villain. But what if the closure isn't owed anymore? What if they already showed you how little they valued the connection and the conversation was over long before you stopped replying. Ghosting someone who has consistently disrespected your time, played with your emotions, or given you nothing but mixed signals isn't cruel, it's necessary. Because continuing to engage with that kind of behavior is what actually does damage to you. And let me be really honest with you. When you keep responding, when you keep the thread going, when you leave even a tiny crack in the door open, you're giving them a pass. You're saying, it's okay that you treated me like an option. I'm still here. And that is not the message you want to be sending. There is incredible power in removing your energy from someone who took it for granted, not as a tactic, but as a boundary. A boundary says, I'm no longer available for this. It says, my peace is more important than your confusion. And most importantly, it says, I don't need to teach you how to treat me. I'll just stop showing up where I'm not respected. That's not ghosting to hurt someone. That's ghosting to heal yourself. You might be thinking, but shouldn't I at least say something? Shouldn't I give him a final message so he knows why I'm walking away? And here's the truth. If someone has been inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or outright disrespectful, they already know what they're doing. They're not confused. They're not sitting there wondering, why does she feel distant? They're well aware. They just hoped you wouldn't catch on. So no, you don't owe that person a closing statement. You don't need to write an essay to justify your silence. The withdrawal of your presence is the explanation. And listen, it's not easy. It takes strength to walk away without getting the last word. It takes self-discipline to sit with the discomfort of being misunderstood, of not being seen in your full truth. But you don't need their validation. You don't need their apology. You need your power back. You need your space back. You need your self-worth back. When you stop talking, when you stop trying to fix it, when you stop trying to convince someone to care, it's not cold, it's clarity. It says, I see what this is, and I choose myself. And if he wakes up one day and realizes what he lost, that's his journey. That's his lesson. That's his timing. But you won't be waiting around for that moment because your growth moved faster than his indecision. So ghost him, not as a punishment, but as a reset, a return to yourself. Because the kind of love you're looking for doesn't require begging, chasing, or decoding. It begins when you stop feeding what isn't feeding you. You've probably been in that situation before, right? You're feeling frustrated. You've reached out multiple times. You've sent texts. You've initiated conversations, and yet you're met with crickets, or maybe a dry response that leaves you wondering, is he interested or is he just being polite? Here's the thing. We've been conditioned to think that more words equal more clarity. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't speak at all. It's the absence of words that actually communicates the most. Think about it. We live in a world where people can say whatever they want. They can tell you they like you. They can tell you they're interested. They can give you all the sweet talk. But here's the thing. Actions speak louder than words. And when it comes to someone who isn't showing you respect or isn't giving you the effort you deserve, you don't need to say anything. You just need to be silent. Silence is a powerful tool. It's a tool that makes someone feel the absence of you. The moment you step back and stop initiating contact, something happens. The dynamic shifts. Suddenly, they're not in control of the flow anymore. They're the ones left wondering, where did you go? Why haven't you texted back? Are you seeing someone else? Silence makes them take notice. It interrupts their pattern, disrupts the dynamic. And while they might not admit it right away, it forces them to confront a reality they've been avoiding, that you're no longer an easy option, no longer just available whenever it's convenient for them. Think about the last time someone ghosted you or even just stopped responding consistently. What did you feel? Probably confusion, maybe frustration, maybe a bit of insecurity. But above all, you probably felt the absence of them. That silence spoke volumes. You started asking questions, didn't you? You started wondering why they weren't responding. You might have even felt a little pang of loss, of wondering if you'd lost your chance or if they'd lost interest. Now, flip that scenario. Imagine you're the one who stops responding. What happens then? For the first time, they start wondering if they've lost you. And that is where the shift begins. It's in the space, it's in the silence. That's when the mind starts working overtime. They'll start analyzing their own actions, the things they might have said or done. They'll start second guessing whether they made a mistake. And that is when they begin to realize the true value of your presence. But here's the thing. This silence isn't about punishing them. It's not about playing games. It's about showing them that your time, your energy, and your attention are valuable, and that you're not going to continue giving them for free if they're not meeting you halfway. You've got to stop thinking that every moment of silence needs to be filled with explanations or words. You don't owe him a full breakdown of why you're walking away. You don't need to tell him everything you've been feeling or the reasons you're pulling back. Sometimes the strongest message you can send is no message at all. Let's take a moment to think about this. How many times have you stayed in a situation because you thought if you just kept talking, if you just kept explaining yourself, it would click? How many times have you stayed around hoping that a conversation would clear things up? We've all been there. But here's the truth. When you're constantly talking, you're giving someone a chance to tell you what you want to hear rather than what they truly feel. But when you stop talking, you let them show you through their actions whether they're willing to step up or not. No more guessing games, no more trying to decipher mixed signals. Silence lets you see the reality of the situation without the fog of words clouding it. And here's the kicker. When you pull away, when you stop over communicating and constantly reaching out, you're actually putting yourself in a position of control. You're not at their mercy. You're no longer waiting for their response to dictate how you feel. You're deciding for yourself that your peace, your clarity, your self-worth are more important than any fleeting validation they might offer. And what's even more powerful? That silence doesn't last forever. If they value you, if they truly care, that silence will stir something inside them. They'll feel the loss. They'll realize they've taken you for granted. And they'll come back if they're capable of making it right. But here's the beautiful part about all of this. Even if they don't, you've already won. You've gained something far more valuable than their attention. You've gained yourself. You've shown yourself that you're willing to walk away from something that doesn't serve you, that doesn't respect you, that doesn't match your energy. And when you do that, you open up space for someone who will. Sometimes silence doesn't need to be filled with words. Sometimes the silence is the answer. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the dynamics between you and someone you're interested in can feel like a constant tug of war? You're putting in all the effort, making the calls, sending the text, showing up, while they're either too busy or just not matching your energy. And somehow, despite all of your effort, it feels like you're always chasing. You're always the one trying to keep the connection alive. Now, let's pause right there and take a hard look at what's really happening. The truth is, when you're the one doing all the work, the one making all the moves, you've given away the power. You've allowed the other person to sit back and simply enjoy the attention without any real effort on their part. You've made yourself so available, so ready to give, that they don't have to do a thing to keep you around. And what happens when you keep giving without receiving? You feel drained. You feel stuck. And eventually, you start to lose a piece of yourself in the process. But here's the thing. You have the power to change that dynamic. It doesn't take any more words, any more explanations, any more begging. All it takes is one simple thing. Stop. Stop chasing. Stop texting. Stop always being the one to reach out. In other words, stop being the one who does all the emotional labor. And at that moment, you're going to see something shift. Because once you stop, you're no longer playing the role of the person who is constantly trying to keep the connection alive. You've removed yourself from that role and placed the responsibility right back in the hands of the other person. And guess what? They have to step up now, or they have to face the fact that they've lost something they never truly valued. What happens next is not only powerful, it's transformational. When you stop chasing and start letting them wonder what happened to you, you shift the power dynamic. You stop being the one who's always available for them. And they start asking, where did she go? Why isn't she replying? And let's be clear, they will feel that shift. When you stop chasing, you become the mystery. You're no longer giving them an easy access point into your world. You're no longer there to reassure them, to fill their emotional needs. Now they're the ones sitting with the uncertainty. They're the ones wondering if they've missed their chance with you. And that is incredibly powerful. The power of the unknown, the power of not being predictable, the power of stepping back and letting them realize, maybe for the first time, that you are not here for their convenience. You are not someone they can just leave on the back burner whenever it suits them. Now, let's be real for a second. This isn't about playing games. It's not about being manipulative or using silence as a weapon. It's about taking back control. It's about saying, I'm not going to continue putting all my energy into something that isn't being reciprocated. If you want this to work, you're going to have to step up. I'm no longer available to you on your terms. I'm now only available to people. Meet me where I am. And that is when you reclaim your power. You stop being the one who's constantly proving their worth. You stop being the one who has to initiate every conversation, every interaction, every date. You've put the ball in their court, and now it's up to them to rise to the occasion or let it go. But here's the thing. By doing this, you're also giving yourself a huge gift. You're giving yourself the opportunity to stop overanalyzing, to stop second guessing, and to stop worrying about whether they're going to text you back. You're not waiting on them anymore. You're freeing yourself from the emotional roller coaster of uncertainty and confusion. And in that freedom, you create space for someone who will show up consistently, someone who will match your energy, and someone who will make the effort to meet you halfway. Think about it. Do you want to keep giving, keep hoping, keep waiting for someone to meet you where you're at? Or do you want to start attracting the kind of energy that aligns with your own? Because here's the truth. When you stop chasing the wrong person, you make space for the right one. You give yourself the room to meet someone who is actually capable of giving you the energy, the effort, and the attention you deserve. When you shift the power dynamic, you do more than just change the relationship with that person. You change your relationship with yourself. You stop settling for less. You stop accepting crumbs. And most importantly, you stop allowing your happiness to be dictated by someone else's behavior. So the next time you feel yourself getting caught in the cycle of chasing, of over-communicating, of trying to make something work that isn't, remember this: you don't have to keep doing it. You have the power to stop. And when you do, you'll see just how much power you truly have. Here's where the magic happens. You've pulled back. You've stopped texting first. You've stopped giving away your energy to someone who wasn't putting in the effort. And now the ball is in his court. And you know what? How he reacts to this shift will tell you everything you need to know about where you stand and whether this connection is worth your time and energy. Let's be clear here. The way he responds or doesn't respond will tell you more than any words he said up until now. We're so often caught up in the promises, the sweet talks, the I like you and the I'm busy but I'll make time. But what do those things really mean when actions aren't backing them up? In the end, it's not the things he says, it's how he shows up or how he doesn't that matters. So now you've stopped chasing, you've made yourself scarce, you're no longer putting in all the effort. Now, watch carefully. Watch how he reacts. Does he step up and meet you where you are? Does he come forward with intention and effort, acknowledging the space you've created and showing that he wants to make things right? Or does he disappear? Does he continue to give you nothing but empty words, brief replies, or even silence, leaving you questioning if you were ever a priority in the first place? Here's the reality. His reaction tells you everything. If he values you, he will not sit idly by. He will notice your absence, he will feel the distance, and he will make an effort to close that gap. He will make the choice to show you that he cares, that he sees your worth, and that he's willing to put in the energy and time to build something that matters. But if he doesn't even make a move, if he continues to let you fall through the cracks, then that's all the clarity you need, because that kind of inaction speaks volumes. It says, I'm not interested enough to meet you halfway. I'm not willing to invest in this relationship the way you are. And that's not something you want to be a part of. It's so easy to get stuck in the trap of wondering, what did I do wrong? Or maybe if I just explain myself one more time, he'll get it. But here's the truth. You don't need to keep explaining yourself to someone who doesn't want to understand. You don't need to keep justifying your feelings to someone who isn't giving you the respect or consideration you deserve. The way he reacts to your absence will show you whether this is someone worth your time or someone who is only there for the convenience. What's fascinating about this is that people will often show their true colors when they're forced to do the work. When you stop chasing, when you stop initiating, when you give them the space to make a decision and show who they really are, that's when you see if they were ever truly invested. And you'll know if they were just coasting along, enjoying the attention without really caring about the effort required to build a meaningful connection. So instead of anxiously wondering if he's going to text you or if he's thinking about you or if he's missing you, let his actions do the talking. His behavior will give you all the answers you need. Now, you might be thinking, but what if he just gets busy? What if he doesn't realize I pulled back? And I get it. Life gets busy. But here's the thing. If someone values you, if they're truly invested, they'll make time. They'll make the effort. They won't let you fade into the background just because they got caught up in life. If he truly cares, you'll know. And if he doesn't, you'll know that too. The truth is, the longer you stay in a situation where you're wondering, does he care? The more you're teaching yourself to ignore your intuition. And that voice inside you, that gut feeling, is the most reliable guide you have. If he's not showing up for you now, don't wait for him to realize what he's missing. Let him go and make space for someone who will show up without hesitation, without you having to chase them. His reaction reveals everything. The way he shows up or doesn't after you've pulled back will give you the clarity you need. If he values you, he'll act. If not, it's your cue to move forward. This is your opportunity to take back your power, to stop wondering and waiting and to start seeing things clearly. You deserve someone who isn't just reactive, but someone who actively chooses you. And when you stop chasing and let him show you who he really is, that's when you get the clarity you've been searching for all along. Let's get this straight. You're not here to settle for less than what you deserve. You're not here to spend your time in relationships where your value is questioned, where your energy is taken for granted, or where you're always the one doing the emotional heavy lifting. But sometimes we forget that our actions set the standard for how we expect to be treated. We get caught up in the hope that if we show enough patience, if we give enough chances, if we explain ourselves enough times, they'll finally come around. But here's the truth. The only person who can set the standard for what you deserve is you. By pulling back, by ghosting, by stopping the chase, you're sending a very clear message to the universe and to everyone around you. You will not accept being treated like an afterthought. You will not accept someone who is emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, or who doesn't prioritize you. You're teaching yourself and everyone around you that your time and energy are valuable, and if they aren't treated as such, you'll walk away. When you stop investing in a one-sided dynamic, you raise the bar. You show that your attention, your presence, your love, and affection aren't things to be handed out freely without regard for how you're treated in return. This is an incredibly powerful move. Because when you stop chasing and stop overgiving, you're finally showing that you know what you bring to the table. You're showing that you're not desperate for validation, that you don't need to prove your worth, and that you're okay being alone rather than being with someone who isn't. Arriving at the same level of care and investment. The reason this works is simple. People treat you how you allow them to treat you. If you're always there for someone who is constantly flaky, who doesn't make an effort, who doesn't give you their time and attention in return, you're teaching them that they don't need to try. You're teaching them that they can do the bare minimum and you'll still stick around. But when you stop being available to them, when you stop showing up at their convenience, you're no longer giving them that opportunity. Now they have to rise to meet your standards, or they have to step aside and let someone else come in who will appreciate you for the incredible person you are. And here's the thing, the most important part of this shift is what it teaches you. When you stop chasing, you stop sending the message that your happiness and emotional fulfillment depend on someone else. You stop being the person who waits for validation from outside sources. Instead, you become someone who is secure enough to walk away when the energy isn't being reciprocated. You become someone who knows they are worthy of the effort, attention, and respect they want. And by doing this, you're showing yourself what you're truly capable of. It's about showing yourself that you can say no. You can walk away. You can stop the pattern of overextending yourself for someone who isn't willing to meet you halfway. It's not about punishing them. It's not about playing a game. It's about demonstrating the standards you've set for yourself and saying, this is how I expect to be treated. And if you can't meet that, then I'm not sticking around. What happens when you raise your standards in this way? You start attracting people who align with those standards. You start attracting people who are emotionally available, who respect your boundaries, and who meet your energy with equal effort. You'll no longer have to settle for someone who keeps you guessing, who treats you like an option, or who only reaches out when it's convenient for them, because you won't allow it. And when you stop allowing people to get away with treating you less than you deserve, you open up space for the right person to come in. This isn't just about a romantic relationship either. The boundaries you set in your personal relationships will trickle into all areas of your life. When you start saying no to behaviors that don't serve you, when you stop accepting less than you deserve from people, you'll begin to notice that you have more self.